Maila Nurmi is best known for her character Vampira, who hosted a TV program in the 50s for KABC in Los Angeles. She was born in 1922, was raised in Gloucester, Massachusetts, and moved to Los Angeles in 1940 with aspirations to be in show business. Maila was a model for Vargas, Bernard of Hollywood, and Man Ray. She worked as a showgirl at the Earl Carroll Theater and the Florentine Gardens. In 1953, Nurmi attended a masquerade ball in a black, skin-hugging long dress inspired by Charles Addams' New Yorker magazine drawings. She was a hit. Her husband came up with the name Vampira, and she morphed her persona into a character based on Garbo, the evil queen from Snow White, and Norma Desmond. In fact, Maila herself claimed that she was the inspiration for Maleficent in Sleeping Beauty. A producer who attended the masquerade ball was looking for a late-night television hostess who wittily introduced old horror films that were newly syndicated for television. Nurmi was hired, and the Vampira show debuted on May 1st, 1954. She was soon riding high, taping her camp hit, The Vampira Show, and making public appearances as she did in USC's Homecoming Parade. She was nominated for an Emmy for The Vampira Show, and she won the title of Nightmare of Hollywood on the platform of Dead Issues. Nurmi told the press that she kept her ghoulish figure from a diet of boiled eggs, orange juice, and graham crackers. During this time, she became friends with several Hollywood notables, including James Dean. Nurmi said that she and Jimmy bonded because they, quote, had the same neuroses. Later, she claimed that Brando became obsessed with her after an affair, and that she had a child with Orson Welles, but gave the child up for adoption. I do think she was a genuine friend of Dean's, not overinflating her relationship with him as a friend. After Jimmy's death, Maila visited his hometown of Fairmount, Indiana, and spent some time with his family, the Winslows. I recently asked Jimmy's cousin Marcus about Maila Nurmi and her visiting Dean's hometown after his death.
Yeah.
You know, they say, I've read recently an interview with Maila Nurmi, Vampira. She came out and spent some time here after Jimmy's funeral, I guess.
Well, it was a couple months later.
Did you meet her?
Yeah.
Well, she seemed interesting. She actually seemed pretty okay.
She seemed okay at the time.
Surprised me because I thought she'd be a wackadoodle, you know. But I'm reading more about her. I'm realizing that she didn't say she did more than she did. You know, some people say, "Oh, I had an affair. We were the love of my life," and that sort of a thing. Because that Liz Sheridan says that, you know, and she wrote that book. Because they were together for a few months, weren't they?
Yeah, him and Liz Sheridan were pretty close, I think, in New York. And I don't think Maila Nurmi's ever claimed that.
No, never.
I don't think anything like that happened with them. They were just acquaintances, you know.
And but I like that she called out people who overrepresented. She said, like Landau, you know, claimed to be best friends, didn't really care for him, you know, when he was alive, but became part of the legend. John Gilmore, who just straight up never met him, they say. And so, he's become sort of that industry. Now, this is part of romantic. In 1956, Ed Wood contacted Nurmi to appear in his low-budget film Grave Robbers from Outer Space, later renamed Plan 9 from Outer Space. She agreed to do the one-day part for $200, but only if she didn't have to say the, quote, horrible dialogue. She remarked, "Nobody's ever going to see this movie. It doesn't matter." The soundstage where Plan 9 and other Ed Wood movies were filmed still exists on Santa Monica Boulevard near Western, still guarded by Gold Diggers Bar, where Ed got hammered daily. Gold Diggers used to be a terrific dive bar and is now gentrified and no fun. Here's some rare interior footage of the soundstage from our 2006 documentary, Dearly Departed, Volume 1. So this is a soundstage. I love it. This was a soundstage where Plan 9 from Outer Space was actually filmed with Bela Lugosi and Maila Nurmi was Vampira and Criswell and Tor Johnson, and we're now actually in the stage where it was filmed, which is really awesome. So that old phony-ass cemetery, the old fallen down tombstones, was in here. I wonder if there's any ghosts in here. Retiring from the small screen, Nurmi took jobs as a lady linoleum layer, and she said she cleaned celebrity homes for 99 cents an hour. She ultimately opened Vampira's Attic, an antique shop on Melrose in the 70s, and sold handmade jewelry and clothing. In 1989, Nurmi sued Cassandra Elvira Peterson for infringement of intellectual property, but eventually dropped the $10 million lawsuit due to the lack of legal funds. In her defense, Cassandra said she was asked to host horror films on TV and wear something black and sexy. Not a whole lot of choices, she said. Nurmi called Peterson slimy and said, "I'm just waiting for her plastic surgery to backfire, for her bosoms to poison her." The court eventually dismissed the case, stating, "Neither case supports the proposition that a person's use of a character that bears a mere resemblance to another is actionable under the common law right of publicity." Death birds. Here in Hollywood, there is the Bungalow Court, the home of Vampira, the very last home that Vampira, Maila Nurmi, lived in and died in back in January of 2008. That's when she died here. It was a little bit more rustic back then. It looks like it's been a lot of upkeep since then, and they put this big fence up, which they've needed to do actually because it's such a shitty neighborhood. Where her number was 1570, which was, if I remember, on the left. 1574, 76, 74, 72, so one of those ones on the left. Maila Nurmi died in this home at the age of 85. Her body was discovered by a friend on Thursday, January 10th, 2008. According to her autopsy, her mildly decomposed body was found laying on the sofa, her feet resting on a lawn chair. She was wearing a brown t-shirt, black underwear, and socks. The apartment was not tidy, covered with animal hair and dust. Her dog was rescued and adopted. Unfortunately, her cat did not make it. Her cause of death? Cardiac arrest. Her body was taken downtown to the LA County Coroner's Office. Her body was kept in storage and her apartment sealed with a blue sticker until a representative could establish whether Maila had a will or made any final arrangements. Her body was eventually released to Hollywood Forever Cemetery on January 31st, and she was cremated. A memorial service was held for her in the chapel at Hollywood Forever on Sunday, February 17, 2008. Donations were accepted to provide Maila with an appropriate grave marker. I sent some money in, and I guess that qualified me for the golden ticket to attend. I understood that the service would be extremely private, and the code name would be Mary Smith. I arrived and no one asked for anything. I walked right in without a problem, and so could anyone else. The memorial pamphlet was there for the taking, and the small service took place. Many people shared recollections of Maila, and some were damn funny, too. Afterwards, her urn was carried out and placed in a classic, beautiful vintage hearse. There was a procession on foot following the hearse to her final resting place, the Griffith Lawn section. I apologize for the grainy footage. Troy did his best to adjust it to make it more visibly appealing, but keep in mind, this was done on my flip phone. What you are looking at now are the last moments of Maila Nurmi's remains being above ground.
Those of you with the red roses, you may come forward now and place them inside with the urn.
I think I sat next to your son. Very charming. Excuse me. Would you be able to put this rose on the grave? I can't get it.
Her grave was marked by a temporary marker until a proper one, donated by fans, could be installed in July of 2009. And for some reason, that stone has been replaced again. The next year, Maila Nurmi, aka Vampira, was remembered in the memoriam section at the Academy Awards. Thank you very much for watching, and a special thanks to the people who are sponsoring this page by Patreon or the PayPal links below. Bet Vonderchek, Elaine and John Brassard, Kate Bowman, Don Grachowski, Harry Hitchings, Jane Idaho, Kelly Olivia, Karen B2, Lexi Gaines, and Ann Meyer. Your support's very much appreciated. Please like, please subscribe, and until next time.